This is what just went on in Phoenix, Arizona over the weekend.
Aren't you glad that all these corporations and large companies are starting to see that DEI needs to DIE?
Obviously. This should be a truism. American citizens come first, right? We're Americans. We come first. This is America. Welcome to...
Unless you sped it up. It's like you sped it up. Oh, my God.
Unless you're with the state of Israel. Am I right, Benny boy?
America, right? America first does not mean that America has no interests in the rest of the world. I can name off the interests America has in the rest of the world. We have an interest, for example, in seeing that Mexico doesn't ship a bunch of fentanyl up through our border. We have an interest in making sure that China doesn't take control of the trade routes through the Taiwan Strait, through which 92% of world shipping goes. We have an interest in ensuring that China doesn't ship the precursors for fentanyl over to Mexico. We have an interest in ensuring that Iran doesn't threaten American allies. We have an interest in all of those things. Now, that brings us to point 2. America's interests have to be carefully calibrated to our investments in them. Okay, that doesn't mean that every solution is the same. So, there are lots of bad things happening all over the world that
all I'm going to say...
I can't look at how long this clip is. You cannot make me watch more of these people. I
understand how people get sucked in with Shapiro. I don't. I fucking hate that guy.
I honestly, I'm going to channel my.
Well, listen, I totally have something to say real quick. So believe me, you're going to want to hear it.
And you know what my older son, for anyone who doesn't know, like what he would say is that he wants to punch that guy in his vagina.
Well, listen, he totally has a vagina, but he gets me a lot of fundraising, so I appreciate him. That's all that matters.
There's foreign terrorist organizations. We're going to do it immediately.
You know, you've got your ideas. I've got my ideas. We can debate them. But I honestly don't think ever again in my lifetime will the richest people in the country be able to point a finger in your face and say, your position is too immoral to discuss, and if you keep talking, we're going to put you in jail. That has been their position.
I have a lot of disagreements with Tucker, but he really has a great podcast. If you
What position is it he's referring to that people are getting put in jail for? Because I'm not aware of what he's referring to.
Well, if he's talking about people that are going to ultimately be thrown in jail because they have a difference of opinion about whether or not we should have a for-profit health system, well, Tucker, the rubber's going to meet the road on that issue. Now, Tucker is truly libertarian. As a Catholic, he has really been a apologetic individual, to say the least, about his encouragement for the war in Iraq. He has been dead set not only about the war in Ukraine, but also the genocide in Gaza. So I give him that much.
Yes, a broken clock is right twice a day. That's how it always feels with some of these guys. Like, yeah, okay, they could be right, but that doesn't mean like...
Now, here's the funny part. You even have people like Cenk Uygur trying to find another pathway to make money. Unbelievable.
When we disagree, we fight. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Now, rule number 2 is afterwards we must have a beer together, okay? And rule number 3 is, for God's sake, when we agree, let's unite.
But
I cannot stand this
young
douchebag.
men are the most conservative they have been in over 50 years. 50 years. Think about that. Now, a reporter asked me, they said, Charlie, can you try to explain this phenomenon? I said, yeah, it's very simple. Young men want to be part of a political movement that doesn't hate them. In fact...
And do not misread and do not underestimate how much that actually has played a factor. I
can't believe how long this clip is that you're making me watch these people. This is brain poison.
And drastically cut shipping times down to U.S. ports by days and even weeks. The United States is the #1 user of the Panama Canal, with over 72% of all transits heading to or from U.S. ports. Think of that. So we built it. We're the ones that use it.
His hair looks terrible.
Away. Considered one of the great wonders of the world. The Panama Canal opened for business 110 years ago and was built at huge cost to the United States. And it really is big when you consider the lives and the treasure, the equivalent of $1.2 trillion today. You don't hear those numbers. 38,000 American men, almost all men, they went there to be construction workers and dig. They were diggers. And they were brave. 38,000 men died from infected mosquitoes in the jungles of Panama during the construction period. Think of that. We lost 38,000 men. Teddy Roosevelt was president of the United States at the time of its building and understood the strength of naval power and trade.
That's actually not true, Donnie.
Oh, really? You don't think that Donald Trump is giving you an accurate rendition of historical facts?
Well, not only is he not giving an accurate rendition, but he did say that the Panama Canal was built during Teddy's presidency. In actuality, Teddy Roosevelt is responsible for the Panama Canal, but the completion of the Panama Canal did not happen until Woodrow Wilson's presidency. So, if you're going to make a statement, at least be somewhat accurate. There is nothing wrong with calling him out.
But of course, I never say anything wrong. I'm totally right about everything. And America is going to be great again.
Again.
In 24 and 25.
Oh my God. It's just horrible. It's just horrible.
The reason I played that clip is for this reason.
Because it was pretty brutal for me. And no, I love when people put in the comments about how I can't handle people that have different opinions, or I don't want to hear people disagree with me. That's not why I don't like those kinds of things.
What you have to remember, guys, is that the thing about Turning Point USA is that this is MSNBC and CNN on steroids. This is a completely corporate-funded organization. Completely. Yeah. I went to the Turning Point USA event in Tampa. I saw firsthand how this shit operates.
It's also a very strong commingling of religion in politics, which I am very opposed to. There's a lot of variables about groups like that are just a real turnoff to me. But it isn't that we just don't agree on policy. Like, that's not. There's many people that I don't agree with on policy, but wouldn't be like, oh, I can't watch that. Like,
no. But there are
those things like that with Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro. Those are spectacles.
They are.
Yeah.
And there are people that are on the political right that I share agreements with. I even like listening to. I personally like Tucker Carlson. I personally despise Ben Shapiro. And I listen to Trump because he's a carnival act. That's what he is. And yes, he is our president. And there is nobody, as Jen has said time and again, that better represents the current state of affairs in this country better than him.
I stand by that. He is the absolute representation of what we are in the world and how the world perceives us, because most of the world perceives us like just bullies that they're either scared of or they just think that we're morons. And by us, I don't mean the people. That's something that most of the world actually does infinitely better than us, is most people in the world are able to distinguish Americans from American empire. And I have found that to be fairly consistent. So you'll meet people in places where they do not like American empire, but they will be very kind and welcoming to Americans. So, and I've found that in lots of places.
And I will also say that while I do believe that Cenk falls under this category with a lot of other people, Cenk is actually somebody who does walk to the beat of his own drum. Now, granted, he's walking to the beat of wherever he can find the money, which is something that is very common amongst the independent media crowd. However, he is one of the rare exceptions that is in that crowd that still actually has principles regarding the corporate filth in the party. And that's why he gave Jen a platform against Debbie Wasserman Schultz both times.
Yeah, no, Cenk was good to me. And you know what? It's not, there's definitely things he's done that I've seen that are public things that other people have, that I haven't liked or whatever, but I don't have a problem with him.